I've been playing guitar almost my whole life, 50 years. I don't know quite how that happened. Music heals. It's been healing me for a long time. I have a band in New York, a bunch of guys I know since high school. We've been playing together for 45 years, same 5 guys. It's really something special. I really do love it. It's a picture of my son Jared and myself. Yankee fans. It was taken about 7 years ago. My son, like all of our kids, was one of the greatest kids ever, just like all of our other kids. He was a big sports guy, fantastic athlete, and a musician. Started playing drums when he was about 12 years old. Took up piano, played some guitar. I got him his first guitar. And most of all, he loved children. He really loved kids. We would go off into a lot of the sports events, Knick games and Yankee games, and there was always, often there was a Wish kid. Somebody from Make-A-Wish was there, finding their wish, meeting some famous ball player. And Jared had a special feeling about that, and he would always look up at me, and I knew what he was thinking, and he knew what I was thinking. 6 years ago now, Jared went to Barcelona on spring break. He was a junior at University of Rhode Island, and his friends were studying in Barcelona, and he took spring break, and he went and flew to Barcelona to be with his friends. He was away for 2 weeks. Seemed like a month to me, but he was away for 2 weeks. And when he landed, of course, we didn't hear from him, and when he finally landed in Boston, instead of picking up the phone, of course, what do kids do? They text. So I got a text message from Jared when he landed. He said, "Dad, it was amazing." He said, "I saw everything." The next morning, I got the one call that all of us as parents fear from the moment our babies are born. Something horrible had happened. He was gone. It was impossible. I just texted with him last night. He went home to his friend's house in Boston and stayed overnight. And he went to sleep, and it was gone. He was gone. And we found out after that he had contracted a virus, a super virus. At the time, they couldn't identify it. I was inexplicably shattered. I mean, what can you say when something like this happened? All the walls collapsed and came down. I didn't know what to do. I walked around in a fog for, I can't remember how long. And a couple of days later, it occurred to me that I needed to do something to start to heal, to help me. I didn't even know what healing meant, but I made a call to the Make-A-Wish Foundation because it just felt right. And somebody answered the phone, and I told them what had happened. And we immediately set up a memorial fund for my son, and we raised a lot of money, enough for granting a couple of wishes. A big hole in my heart, but it did help to grant a couple of wishes for a couple of kids. We sent 2 kids to Disney World with that. But it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for me. I waited a little while, and I went down to the Make-A-Wish Foundation in New York, and I said, "This is not enough for me. I'm happy that we granted these wishes, but I need to do something more." So they said, "Corey, why don't you try wish granting?" These are the people that go actually to the homes and do interviews with the children and the families. They said, "You would probably get a lot out of that." So I took it. I did my first wish. I immediately connected with the parents. They didn't know my story. I certainly could see theirs. And it was a wonderful, it definitely helped me. It was a healing experience to grant some wishes for some kids. I stayed in New York with my wife, Edda, for about a year and a half. I probably did about 20 or maybe 22 wishes grants, most of them to Disney World. That's where the kids love to go. And we waited about almost 2 years, and we decided to relocate, kind of reboot. So we moved to Miami. And when we got to Miami, I was very fortunate that I met a friend who introduced me to someone down at a children's hospital in Miami. And I went down to just see what it was like. I know I needed to do something around the kids. I continued to grant wishes down in Fort Lauderdale. But when I went to the hospital, I got a tour of the hospital. Took me around to all the different units and the Family Resource Center and all different areas. Probably went around for half an hour. And my friend brought me into his office. He said, "So what do you think?" And I felt really good about it. There was something about the environment there. You know, I thought it would be like a rough place to be, but I felt really at home. So I took the volunteer job. It wasn't really a job, but I went in 3 days a week to the hospital. They told me that it might be a good idea to go to the Family Resource Center. I could hang with the parents. It's a place where they try to get the kids to come downstairs, get out of the rooms, the ones that can. And they have computers and all kinds of video games, books, movies, all kinds of stuff to do. So I went into the Family Resource Center, and I worked about 3 days a week for about 3 months. And it was kind of quiet. Everybody went around their own business, but I sensed that there was something missing from it. And all along, this was helping me to heal a little bit, but one day I just decided to bring my guitar into the Resource Center. And I started to play a little bit, like, well, the place was about as quiet as this, but all of a sudden, these 3, 4, 5-year-old kids started coming around and started doing this crazy dancing. It was really funny. And as they came over and started dancing, the families kind of gathered around, and people were laughing and talking and singing. I don't know what they were doing. It was just a great time. And it was a great time in a really tough place. Really hard in a children's hospital. So I did that for pretty close to a year, and at the same time, I tried to go to another hospital a little closer to my house. And in this second hospital, I had a very unique opportunity because there was no music therapist in this hospital. And it was a very progressive kind of place, but they asked me, I brought my guitar in there too, and they asked me would I mind going up to the units and walking around and just play a little music. And, you know, and I picked up my guitar. It always brings me back to a better time. So I went up and I took the elevator up, and the first floor I got out on is oncology. I walk out of the elevator, and this is the sound that I heard. I didn't even hear that. Like that. And so I started walking around, kind of like a strolling minstrel, just playing little quiet couple of chords. I'm walking around, and as I'm walking around, I see the doors are starting to open, and people wanted to hear the music. And of course, I'm playing While My Guitar Gently Weeps by George Harrison, not the best tune to cheer children up or their parents. But honestly, I was walking around, and it just came to me, and I was kind of healing myself. Anyway, I'm walking past one room, and the door opens up, and a miraculous thing happens. A mom, her name was Joy, she comes out of the room and she says, "Corey, would you mind coming into this room? My son, he's not feeling that good, but he's a musician." And of course, I couldn't wait to go in and meet him. He's 15 years old. His name was Jason. And I went into the room, and I started playing my guitar. Jason was kind of sleeping, very lethargic, and as I came in and I was just picking around like this, I see he kind of sat up. His mom showed me pictures of him in her iPhone. He was a real rocker. He had a rock band. She even showed me a little video, playing some cool guitars. And as I was talking to his mom, Jason sat up, got a little more perky, and I said, "So I understand you're a musician?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm a musician." We talked about what kind of music he likes, what kind of guitars he has. And as we were talking, he's getting more and more enthusiastic and sits up. And I said, your mom, Jason, tells me you're a guitar player. I saw some pictures of you. I said, let me see what you got. So I took off my guitar, and I handed it to Jason in bed. And he had a nice big smile on his face, and as he put his arms around the instrument, the IVs pulled on his hands, on his wrists, and he couldn't get the arm around the guitar. So I tried something good, but it didn't really work out. So I ran downstairs, thank you. I ran downstairs to my office, and I had one of these guys. This is a travel guitar. It's called a backpacker, actually, because it fits in a backpack. This guitar has a full guitar neck, a full neck, but obviously, as you can see, it's a little body like this. Kind of sounds like a banjo if you play it with a pick. Anyway, I handed it to Jason. There's a picture of Jason right there. And I said, you know this song, While My Guitar Gently Weeps? And he looked up. He was 15 years old. He looked up at me and he said, yeah, I got that. I know that song. I said, really? He smiled, laughed at me, gave me kind of one of these looks that, he knew what he was doing. I started playing the rhythm part like this. Nice and soft. And that kid picked out the melody, a lead. There's a video on our website that you could actually see it, 30 seconds. Mom, Joy gave me permission to use that video and this picture. This is 3 years ago. I don't really know what I got permission to use it for, but here I am now. And that was a big deal for me, because for me to see Jason light up and start playing and jamming, that's like 1 in a million. I mean, I went around for several months and I never met another musician like this. But a simple idea about giving a child something easy to hold and play makes sense to me, real easy. So I continue to do this. I even walked around the hospital with this guitar for a while because it has nylon strings. It was easy for even a little baby could touch it and not get hurt with the strings. And one day I walk into another room while I'm playing, and I meet this young lady, Sophie. And Sophie's about 13 years old, and I asked her, how she felt about music. Do you like music? And she said, yeah, she likes music. She was always thinking about learning how to play guitar. And as I'm talking to Sophie, I see her parents are kind of off in the corner of the room, talking, whispering quietly. I knew things were tough in there. So I said to Sophie, let me get you a smaller instrument, something even easier than this to try. I ran downstairs again. I was always running downstairs in this hospital. And I came back with one of these guys. Ukulele. A friend of mine given me a ukulele about 10 years ago. It was lying around in my house, so I brought it into the hospital, left it in the office. Really didn't think much about it. But meanwhile, I came back upstairs. I said, Sophie, what do you think about this? And she said, oh, this is kind of cool. How do you play it? I said, well, it's got 4 strings. You can play this so easily with one finger in one place. And everybody started smiling and laughing. So I put the ukulele in Sophie's hands. Meanwhile, Mom and Dad came over to the bed where she was playing with this. I showed her a couple of chords. She started smiling. People, they were laughing and joyful. And all the time that I'm doing this, that broken heart never heals, but the music kind of fills it up. And as I was seeing these people share the joy of this, it really made a big difference to me. These are some of the kids that we've given ukuleles to. The story is really this, is that Edda and I went out and we bought about 10 or 12 ukuleles. And as I went around the hospital seeing the joy of this instrument, I started to identify kids that I think would prefer to play music rather than, some kids want to play video games, some kids want to read, but you can tell a kid that likes music and grabs it and learns that chord right away. So over the next couple of weeks, I handed out maybe a dozen ukuleles to kids. Some of them would go home with them. This Sophie took one home, and when she came back for repetitive treatment, she always called me in to show me how quickly she was learning it. She used YouTube to learn how to use the instruments. And we started to tell friends, when Ed and I would go out with friends and ask us how we were doing, we would tell them what we were doing, that we bought some ukuleles in some local music stores and we gave them out to some kids. And as I told friends this, everybody thought it was a great idea. They said, how much are these ukuleles? I said, $20. Just sounded like a good round number. And people started to give us $20 bills. My friend Carl said, I'll take 5. Somebody else said, I'll take 3. And over the next couple of weeks, we had a load of $20 bills in our nightstand drawer. Now, my wife Edda knows a thing or two about risk management. Thanks, Edda. And she said, we better do something about this. Not that we had $1 million, but we had, a significant amount of $20 bills. So we decided to open up Ukulele Kids Club as a nonprofit organization with the mission of donating ukuleles, to hospitalized children nationwide as a gift of music for life. The mission is to give these kids the instruments to take home, healing, challenges, and just good work with music healing. So Ukulele Kids Club is now 2 years old, and we've donated 1,500 ukuleles to hospitalized kids. Thank you. I know, that's a heck of a number, and it's like unbelievable. And the sad thing is that we haven't even scratched the surface. We've made shipments to 300 children's hospitals, 5 at a time. When the kids are identified, we put them on a list, replace them with 5 more. But there must be 1 million kids that are sick that music will help them heal. So that's what we're trying to do. Now, honestly, right now, I wish I could take every one of you into the hospital with me to go on the floor, show you the power of music and the little instrument like this, how powerful it is. But the next best thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you by video to Stephanie Epstein, who directs the music therapy program at Holtz Children's Hospital here in Miami. And another friend of ours named Minkowski. That's his name, Minkowski. He's 12 years old. And one of the things that Stephanie does as a music therapist is that she will help compose songs with these kids where she gets them to actually write lyrics that explain their condition, how they're really feeling, a way of self-expression. And it leads to some really great things. Let me just show you this video right here so I can bring you inside with me.
Hi, my name is Minkowski. Thank you for this. I like it.
All right, you ready?
Go again. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sometimes something's wrong. Need someone to help. Sometimes bad things happen. Not always easy to control yourself. Thinking that can be hard to fix. Sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes we all need help. Help being happy. Help being happy. Oh!
That's Mom laughing in the back. Now that's joyful and that's fun. And that's what I'm talking about music heals. This is not a sad thing. This is joyous. And I just want to tell you that I want to dedicate this talk to my beautiful daughter, Kayla. And I want to welcome you all to the club. Thank you very much. Thank you.